Hey friends, it's Loree with the blog wagonwheelhomestead.com. Welcome to my homestead pantry. I'm here today to give you a full pantry tour. There's over 3,000 quart jars in this room. It's a 12 by 16 room. My husband built the shelves in here. And over the years, I have worked on building up my homestead pantry, and this is what is really the hub of our homestead. So for those of you that are new here, welcome. My husband and I and our 5 children homestead on 40 acres in Nebraska, where we grow and preserve most all of our own food. So we have a large market garden that we not only sell produce from in town at farmers market during the summer, but it also provides us with all of the vegetables that we need to can and freeze to provide the food for our family for the year. Then we also hunt, we raise our own beef cattle, we butcher chickens whenever we can find somebody that has some old hens. We don't actually have chickens, which is sort of funny because we have all the other homestead things, and at some point I'm sure we'll get chickens. But anyway, we also have 2 Jersey cows that we milk every day. We make all of our own dairy products. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, be sure to like and subscribe and follow along with our channel, because we'll be sharing lots of adventures with you and share with you how you can do the same thing. So while this may look a bit overwhelming to you, I want to assure you that over time you can build a pantry that looks just like this. So our family of 7 spends less than $25 a week or $100 a month at the grocery store. So right around, $1,200 to $1,500, somewhere in there a year at the grocery store. So if that's, a lot of people spend that a month, and that's if they're cooking from scratch. So we spend that in a year, and I want you to know that you can do that, and I'm here to show you how. So what you will do might look a little different than what I do, and that's totally fine, but I'm here to share with you what's worked for our family and to coach you along the way and help you figure out how to live a more simple, sustainable life. So those are the kinds of things that we're talking about here on our channel. So it is actually New Year's Eve when I am filming this. It's always a little hard for me to figure out when to film my pantry tour because, as I mentioned, this is the hub of our homestead. So we're always putting things in here and taking things out. So it's always hard to figure out when does the pantry look the best? When should I show it off to everybody? Because this is a working pantry, so we eat out of this all of the time. So for example, today I'm working on rendering beef tallow. So that video is going to be coming out for you really soon. Lots of things you can do with beef tallow. That's what we use for most of the fat in our cooking, along with butter, right? And then we're also canning some venison that I've had in the freezer because we've been pretty busy since deer season. So I'm canning up some venison. You can can beef the same way, so I'll be showing you that. So those shelves are kind of empty, right? But some of the other shelves are more full. So I'm just going to show you the pantry how it is. And the reason I'm choosing to do it now is because for the next 90 days, we're going to participate in the 3 Rivers Challenge, which if you're unfamiliar with that, Jessica at 3 Rivers Homestead here on YouTube has a challenge that she does every year, and you can kind of set up your own rules as far as how long you want to participate, what your own parameters are, depending on how your pantry looks. But the gist of it is to learn how to use the things in your pantry. And of course, we do that pretty much all the time anyway, but it's really been a good exercise for me in the past for the first 2 or 3 months of the year to live completely out of the pantry. So that means if you're out of pasta, you make your pasta, right? That means that if you run out of yeast, you're only making things with sourdough, which we do a lot of stuff with sourdough. So anyway, it's no matter how beginner or advanced you are when it comes to cooking from scratch, it's really a good idea every so often to do a pantry challenge because you find new ways to utilize this food, okay? And it's always a good test because if there were a big economic or natural disaster, or you lost a job or were sick and you had to live out of just the food that you have stored on hand for a good period of time, this is a good test to see how long you could actually live. Now, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, you're going to find holes in your pantry. You're going to find things that you were like, man, we really were low on that. We need to be more stocked up. I did not do any stocking up in preparation for this. I do have a shipment of flour coming. That's just my normal shipment from Azure Standard. I'll put a link for them in the description box below. The other thing I'm going to talk to you about at the end of this video, so we're going to go through here and look at everything I have. The other thing we're going to talk about at the end of this video is how you can start a pantry like this and how you can start purchasing in bulk. So if gardening isn't in the cards for you, you can still do a pantry wherever you are by purchasing in bulk, and as our standard is going to be part of what we're talking about at the end of the video. So be sure to stick around for that. I will drop in the description box below a link to a printable that I have that you can download for free, and it is a pantry inventory list. So it's a list of all the things that I cook with in my Homestead Pantry, and it'll just give you a baseline, like, okay, I think I want to start having this in bulk and this, right? And it'll just give you ideas in case you forget all the things that I have in mind. I'm always adding to mine. Some things we've canned and we decided we didn't really like, so when they're gone, you know, we might decide not to can them again. So it always changes a little bit. But we have, not only the canned food in here, but also all the dry goods. So flour, sugar, millet, those kinds of things. So I'm just going to walk through here and show you exactly what I have. Now, I'll tell you, when I built this pantry, I didn't build it for filming. So it's a little hard for you to see. What it consists of is it consists of an island. So a big island of shelves here with a wall of shelves on this side and then a wall of shelves on the other side of this island. So I'll be showing you that. But anyway, I apologize that it is a little hard for you to see. I'm going to just bring the jars up here and show you what we have. The other thing I want to say is YouTube only lets me link to so many videos, but if you go to Wagon Wheel Homestead 21, which is my channel here on YouTube, and you go to the Preserve Your Own Food playlist, the videos for most everything that's in this pantry, the how-to videos, step by step, are going to be there. And what isn't there is going to be coming. So I have some stuff filmed that I will be posting this coming spring. So if this is something you want to do for this coming year, this is New Year's Eve 2024, so it's almost 2025. If this is something you want to do, then definitely check out that playlist, Preserve Your Own Food. Follow us on the blog, wagonwheelhomestead.com. Be sure to sign up for our email list. There's a description, or there's a link to that in the description box below, because we send out weekly tips and all kinds of things that will help you in your effort to become more self-sustaining. So let's just start right here on the top. This is relish, sweet relish. So I'm just going to try to go quickly through here, tell you what it is and what we use it for. So I use this to season my potato salad. That's one big thing. We also, use it on hamburgers and hot dogs. In deviled eggs, I put it in deviled eggs, but definitely in potato salad. So that's something that we make. That's made out of zucchini and cucumbers. Okay, really easy to do. And somewhere up here, I don't know if it's this, no, it's down here. My husband's the organizer in here, so if there's ever a snow day, he's the one that organizes this for me if he gets bored. So sometimes I have to look for where he puts things. Anyway, this is dill relish. So I use this sparingly. I don't use it as much, but I have a few jars and I make cheeseburger pizza. So it's just really fun. When you are tired of pizza, right? And you have dairy cows, so you have homemade mozzarella, and you don't want regular pizza again. If you make cheeseburger pizza, everything's better. It's all good. All right, next is sauerkraut. So this kraut was made with purple cabbage. This was made with green cabbage. Okay, see the difference? So I do have a video on how to make this. This is just cabbage and salt. It's very basic. It's the old-fashioned fermentation recipe. Very good for you, extremely healthy. If you get sick, definitely eat some of this. So we make Reuben sandwiches, Reuben pizza pockets, Reuben pizza, and then also we put this with some of our hot dogs that come from our own home-raised beef, and we cook the hot dogs in this and make, like hot dogs and sauerkraut. Super good. So I also show you in the sauerkraut video how to keep just raw sauerkraut in your fridge. So it'll keep in your fridge for quite a while as well. But I like to have some shelf stable just so that I always know that I have it on hand. All right, this is V8 juice. So we grow well over 300 tomato plants every year, and sometimes there's more tomatoes than I know what to do with. And one of the quick and easy things I can make is V8 juice. Okay, this is tomato sauce. So again, something really easy. It's just tomato sauce, and salt, canned. Super simple, and I can make lots of things out of this. I can take this and make spaghetti sauce, enchilada sauce if I need to. Like I have some of those things canned, but if I run out, tomato sauce is a basic thing to have. I use this most often in chili and to make tomato soup. One thing that I have learned over the years, it's not always advantageous to can everything in the book. It's better to can basics and then just make it into that thing if you have a really easy recipe like tomato soup, rather than have a whole bunch of tomato soup canned. I just find out that it works out easier to just make the tomato soup quickly if everybody wants tomato soup. And then I have the tomato sauce and I can use it for other things. All right, banana peppers. We love these. They're super sweet, but they are really good. Banana peppers. Goulash sauce. So this is something I show also on the blog, and this is an old-fashioned family recipe. I've never seen it anywhere else for goulash sauce. It's got a lot of peppers and some sweet spices in there like cinnamon, cloves. It's really a neat thing. We usually serve it with some hamburger and noodles just as goulash, and then we put corn and garlic bread salad with it, and there's a simple meal. Ketchup. I always put my ketchup in these wide-topped, funny-shaped jars just because then I know exactly what the ketchup is. So anyway, I have, I don't know, 30 or 40 jars of ketchup. I use this to make barbecue sauce. I do have some barbecue sauce as well, but I can easily make barbecue sauce out of this in like 5 minutes. I use it for making Thousand Island dressing that we put on our Reuben sandwiches, and then of course we use it in all kinds of things. Meatloaf, baked beans on sandwiches. I mean, if you have ketchup, you can flavor a lot of things, and it's probably cheaper to buy ketchup, but this doesn't have any corn syrup in it, and it doesn't have a ton of sugar. It tastes very similar to regular ketchup, and I always have it on hand. So before I canned my own ketchup, I was always running out of ketchup like all the time. So I love having ketchup on the shelf. All right, these are empty jars. We try to put empty jars back next to where we're gonna have the full jars, so next year I can just take those empty jars off, wash them, and then continue with my canning. So this ring actually needs taken off. What you should always do when you put your jars away is take off the rings, because then you don't end up with a false seal. So not a big deal, but that one somehow got missed. These are dill pickles. So we raised these cucumbers and canned up these dill pickles. The kids love these. It's really nice to have a lot of easy side dishes in your pantry that you can just, you know, say you have a meat and a salad or something, just open some pickles and some carrots, some beets, and there's your meal, and it's healthy, right? It's really a great thing. We have some stacker pickles. These have a jalapeno in the top, so they're a little spicy. These are for sandwiches. Yeah, barbecue sauce, I talked about that. Okay. This is some canned coleslaw. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't our favorite. We have a few jars of it. We need to finish it up because it's okay. It's just not our favorite thing. It is still crunchy. It's just the flavor. I don't know if it's too sweet or what. So anyway, we need to get that finished up. It's probably not something I'll do again unless I find a different recipe. Let me see. More stacker pickles. Okay, and then plain tomatoes. I have lots of jars of plain tomatoes. If you're just starting canning, one of the things I suggest you learn to can is tomatoes, because there's 9 things in my pantry here that I make out of tomatoes. You know, 9 things I have canned out of tomatoes. It will make a serious dent in your grocery bill, and they're really easy. So they don't require pressure canning or anything. They're just super simple. So plain canned tomatoes, and you'll find that on that playlist as well. Somewhere in here are our very favorite pickles of all time. These are sweet dill pickles, and you'll find this on the blog and on the YouTube channel as well. Sweet dill pickles. If I get these out, I have to get 2 or 3 jars out, and the kids like devour them. They're so good. And there's garlic in the bottom of every jar, and they always fight over who's going to get the garlic because it's so good. In fact, I didn't get around to it. I should have canned several jars of just the garlic, you know, put the pickle brine on it and done just the garlic. Anyway, next year. All right, down here, more sweet dill pickles. Again, a whole bunch of those. And then salsa. So I showed you how to make this in a roaster, really simple. We eat a lot of this. One thing I do buy at the store is chips, which is sort of funny. I don't buy hardly anything at the store, but chips is one thing. I could make my own tortillas and my own chips, but that would kind of be a pain. And so since we eat so much salsa with the chips, I figure, okay, chips is something I'll buy. Of course, I could live without it in the event of a economic or a natural disaster, right? But anyway, we use this on tacos, burritos, in taco soup, as flavorings for lots of things, and then of course, chips and salsa. And down here is my homemade spaghetti sauce. I try to keep 50 to 100 quarts of this on hand. It actually takes 2 quarts of this for our family now because I try to make suppers and then the next day during lunch, we usually have leftovers, which by the way reminds me, back to the Three Rivers Homestead and the Pantry Challenge. So we're gonna be eating exclusively out of this pantry for the next 90 days, and I'm gonna be sharing daily on Instagram and Facebook what I make. So you're gonna get to see how I do that. I don't really menu plan either. I'm just gonna show you exactly what we eat every single day, real life, real time. So if you go to @WagonWheelHomestead21 on Instagram and Facebook and follow me, you're going to get to see exactly what we make. I'm also going to be doing some like what we eat in a week videos and show you that here on YouTube, but it's a little hard for me to show you everything we eat on YouTube just because it would take too much time. So if you're interested in that, come on over. Anyway, so spaghetti sauce, I try to keep, enough that we could eat it quite often if needed. Spaghetti is a really hearty meal. It's something everybody likes, and you can make your own sourdough pasta. As long as you have eggs and flour, you can make your own pasta really easily and have a meal completely from scratch. Of course, you can also buy a bunch of pasta in bulk and keep that on hand also. I tend to usually make mine, especially during the Pantry Challenge. Sometimes during the summer when I'm busier, then I try to buy some noodles and have them on hand. But I do like to make my own pasta. And you can make sourdough pasta that's shelf stable. Also, I don't have any made up right now, but we'll be working on that together probably in the next couple of months. And that spaghetti sauce, by the way, it tastes like Prego spaghetti sauce. So if you like Prego spaghetti sauce, you would like that. All right, let me see what else I have. Oh, pizza sauce. Now, we like to do barbecue pizza. I already mentioned cheeseburger pizza, Reuben pizza. We do eat sometimes just regular pizza, believe it or not. And so you can just use spaghetti sauce, right? But I do like to have pizza sauce because sometimes it's a little bit spicier, a little bit thicker. And it's nice to just sometimes make just a regular supreme like pizza. All right, moving on. I have a whole bunch of pickled beets because in our family, pickled beets are a favorite thing. So these are really easy to make. They're so good. We did a big pickled beet canning day, and you'll find that video and recipe as well on the blog and YouTube. And everybody that tries these absolutely loves them. They're so, so good. All right, green beans and dilly beans. So green beans are something that has to be pressure canned, but we can grow green beans here really easily. So it's important wherever you are to figure out what grows best if you're going to get into gardening, and then learn lots of ways to eat it, right? Because it's, don't try to grow lemons in Nebraska unless you have a nice greenhouse, which I would love to have, by the way. Someday, it's on my list. Anyway, don't make that your staple food, right? If beans and corn grow best where you are, then that's what you should be growing. So anyway, green beans, again, pressure canned, but one of the easiest things to can. And dilly beans, now these do not have to be pressure canned because they are in a vinegar solution. And so even though beans are a low acid food, if you add something like vinegar to the pickling, and pickle them, then you can just water bath them. So that's super nice. The only things that I pressure can are meat, my vegetable soup, which by the way is right here. We put this in half-gallon jars. It's just lots of different things. So it's like carrots and tomatoes and all the things that you would eat with like hamburger. And we just brown hamburger and stick this into the skillet. Oh, peppers, onions, what else? Lots of tomatoes. Anyway, this has to be pressure canned just because of the carrots. So we pressure can that. We pressure can meat, carrots, and green beans. Those are the only 4 things that I pressure can. And everything else I can just water bath can. Pressure canning is nothing to be afraid of, and I show you all about that on YouTube, but I just want you to know there's not actually a lot of things that you have to pressure can. So if that makes you nervous, just know that you can definitely start with water bath canning and be fine. All right. All right, applesauce. We make a lot of applesauce. We eat a lot of it. In the wintertime, one way I get around buying a lot of fresh produce is we eat the home canned produce from our pantry. Now, you could argue that fresh is best, and it could be, but the stuff you're getting in the store has been picked a long time ago. It's sprayed, most likely, with something. Even the organic stuff is sprayed with something, okay, during the growing process or whatever. And it's been harvested a long time ago, and it's expensive. So I feel like this that was picked, or that was preserved within hours of being picked, is much healthier for my family, being organic and all, than something that grew halfway across the world. So we do a little bit of fresh produce, but during the pantry challenge, we don't buy anything. We just eat stuff out of here, and it's really good because it helps you to use up all the stuff in your pantry. This is glazed carrots. There's a tutorial on YouTube for this as well. Love glazed carrots. My kids always go through 2 or 3 quarts of this at a time. They are glazed with an orange juice and brown sugar glaze. Super, super yummy. All right, and then this is my canned apples. Now these are still crunchy because I press them in sugar, and again, there's a tutorial on this as well. Press them in sugar and then can them in the syrup that they make when you press them in sugar, and they make the best apple pies. Anything you would use apples in. Okay, you can make like a syrup for pancakes. By the way, this is the leftover syrup that these are canned in. That these were this is the syrup they were pressed in. It's just sugar and natural apple juice, and it makes the very best pancake syrup that you've ever had in your life. Like, it is so, so good. So I just add a little bit of corn syrup, thicken it up. So yummy on pancakes or waffles. So anyway, yeah, we make muffins, pies, apple crisp, all kinds of things out of these apples, and these were all grown right here on our homestead in our own orchard. If you don't have a homestead, or if you don't have an orchard, don't despair. Before we had our own little piece of ground, I spent a lot of time finding fruit elsewhere. So there's always people, older people that have an orchard, or they have an apple tree in their yard. They thought it'd be fun to plant, and then, they have an overwhelming year of apples, and they don't really want that many apples. So they will usually, if you look around, and you're a younger family interested in putting up food, they will usually give you the fruit if you'll come and take it. And so I have put up so many hundreds of quarts of food just by gleaning it that way. All right, this is canned turkey. We can chicken the same way. I have a video on that as well. And I don't actually have any canned beef or venison in here right now, but typically this shelf here is canned beef and venison, part of it, and then part of it here is chicken and turkey. And I have these jars here, empty jars, waiting, and I'm actually working on canning some of that up for you today, and I'll be showing you that. So, and then our beef. So right now, we also have some stuff in the freezer, and I'm not going to show you that. I'm just going to tell you, we have a few vegetables in the freezer, not very many, like peas, cauliflower and broccoli, and corn. Those are things that don't can well. So those are things that I freeze. But then we also have some venison burger and venison breakfast sausage and a few steaks. And we're making that last, along with this canned chicken, until March, when we will have our beef. So we have several beefs on feed right now here at our own homestead, and we're gonna, get one of those butchered in February. It'll be ready by March. So in March, then I will have more options for meat. But again, it's really good for you to find out what all you can make out of canned chicken and turkey. There's a lot of things. You can make taquitos, of course, chicken noodle soup, that's an easy one. Chicken and dumplings. We make, with the beef, we make beef and noodles. We make enchiladas. trying to think of the other ones off the top of my head. There's so many things. Oh, like chicken tetrazzini or chicken Alfredo. Any kind of chicken soup, chicken tortilla soup. So lots of things I've figured out how to make with chicken and turkey when I've been out of my other kinds of meats. So again, it's really good for you to be challenged and eat out of your pantry. That's why I like the challenge, because it's like, okay, what are we going to make that's not the same thing we've had and something that we, have on hand. So, all right, hopping over here. This is grape juice. So this is one way you can can grape juice is by putting grapes in a jar, filling it up with water and some sugar, and then canning it. And so these are a couple years old. I need to get them used up. They're still fine. By the way, stuff keeps a lot longer in a pantry than you think. I did not can all this year. Some of this is 3 or 4 years old, but this is a cool pantry. It's going to be fine. I've done this my whole life. I'm almost 40, and I've done this for my entire life, canned all those years, never had any bit of trouble. So do what you're most comfortable with, but I just want you to know that you don't have to can everything and then use it all up in 1 year. One reason why we have such a full big pantry is because a year ago we had a bumper crop of a garden. We had so much rain, and we just kept filling jars and filling jars, because this last year we didn't have as good of a crop, and next year we might get hailed out. We get, nasty storms in the summer. And so you're not guaranteed a crop every single year. You might have crop failure, weather, late frost, gophers, like who knows, the deer, the cows might get in. That's happened to me once before, and I'm trying to forget it. Anyway, so, those are just things to think about. And so it is totally okay and advisable for you to have more than 1 year worth of food. So there's over 3,000 jars full in this pantry, plus a bunch that are empty. I think this will fit about 4,400 jars if it's completely full. That may seem a bit overkill, but again, we could live for a long time on that, and we could share with our friends and neighbors if there was, a need for that, right? It's not just for ourselves, it's so that we can share if needed. So, all right, continuing on, grape juice. This is from our Somerset grapes, so it's a different color than the purple. We have 4 different kinds of grapes, and I have a video in the Grow Your Own Food section of YouTube that talks about how to care for your grapevines in the winter and how to get an awesome grape harvest in the summer. All right, I also keep spices. That's something to think about. Salt is another one. My salt bucket is upstairs. So before I forget, you want to have salt in your long-term food storage because your body needs salt. And salt can be one of those things that could be hard to get if the stores don't have food. Okay? Salt isn't something you can just grow in your backyard. So be sure you have salt. I like the Redmond real salt. I get it from Azure in bulk, and I just keep it in a bucket. We use it all the time. It has all the vitamins and minerals still in it. So it's really great. All right, I'm not going to show you everything here. I'm just going to show you some of the things. So, and again, most of these are from Azure Standard. You can also look at herbalcom.com. They have things in bulk as well, but I prefer to get my stuff from Azure Standard because it's a small family run company whenever I can. All right, poultry seasoning, basil, rosemary, cloves, citric acid for cheese making, smoked paprika, thyme. These are mustard seeds for when I'm canning. Oregano, what is this? Savory, cumin, coriander. This is my homemade vanilla that's brewing. So this is just vodka on vanilla beans. Every time I come by, I try to shake it. Let's see, coriander, turmeric, more cloves. These are dried jalapenos that I've ground up, and they're really nice to add just a little kick to chili or something like that. Let's see what else is in here. Dill, chili powder, taco seasoning, all those kinds of things. Then up here, and it's harder for you to see, but I'm just going to grab these things down. Up here is some medicinal herbs. So I keep a lot of medicinal herbs on hand. We try not to go to the doctor if we can. Nothing against doctors. We just try to treat ourselves as naturally as possible. So I have nettles. I have peppermint for making tea. Lavender. What is this? Comfrey. More nettles. This is the apple cider vinegar we made with the apple scraps. So there's a video on that, and those of you that follow along and wanted to see what it turned out like. see the mother culture on there. Isn't that cool? So this is going to be some amazing apple cider. And I use this in salad dressings and cooking, but I also mainly use it for making fire cider in the fall, which is, again, a medicinal thing. So right now, all my kids and husband have been a bit under the weather with cough, and it's that time of year, right? But I thank the Lord, I'm still well, and I attribute a lot of it to the fire cider that I'm taking. So that's good. Let's see, plantain. Some of these I'd have to pull them out and see. Okay, this is an echinacea tincture. I have an echinacea elderberry tincture upstairs that I've been taking. So anyway, lots of medicinal type herbs, and I just try to keep those separate, but I definitely keep them on hand. It's a good thing to have a well-stocked medicine cabinet and know how to use the herbs that are in it. And it's also good to know how to grow as many herbs as you can, although I will say, and by the way, you can grow your own rosemary, you can grow your own basil, but if I can buy a pound of it for less than $10, that is so much easier for me right now, and keep it in stock. Now, I do grow some every year. If times got hard, I would learn to live with the herbs I can grow, right? So I do some of that, but while we can still get stuff, while the world is still stable, I have bought things in bulk, and I just keep it in bulk. All right, moving on. This is more soup. These are canning supplies up here. Okay, and then back here, I just have a few. So this is from Sam's. This is garlic salt. I get it a lot of times from Azure Standard as well, but I do get some things from Sam's. And then this is just stuff that people have given me, actually. So green beans and just different things, and I just need to get them used up. I tell you, I'm so used to using the stuff in my pantry that I've canned that I forget that I have other things that I should use. So on the challenge, that'll be something that I'm working on. Tomato paste, Ziploc bags, some flour, more canned chicken, some more canning supplies, and my juicer. Okay, and then down here, I have 2 rows. So I think there's like 100 pints of each turkey chicken stock and then beef stock. And I'll be showing you how to make that on the channel when I get a chance. But I keep this canned up at all times. This is, bone broth, right, at its best, with all of the vegetables that we have from our own homestead. And I use this in soups, in so many things, and it flavors things so well. So definitely keep lots of broth canned up if you can. It's just a great way to keep yourself healthy. Okay, and this is my homemade beef tallow, home rendered beef tallow. So I'm working on a video right now to show you how to do that, including how to take the raw fat from your butcher and break it all down. We're going to show you how to take the glands out of it and all of that, and then can it up so that you can have shelf-stable fat. And like I said, we use this for pretty much all of the fat on our homestead. So anyway, be looking for that video as well. All right, and then down here we have big tubs of potatoes. Now, I need a root cellar. Homesteading is all about how nothing's perfect, right? Everything's in process. So I need a root cellar. Some of these are starting to sprout just a little bit. That's okay. They're going to be fine. So during the pantry challenge, we're going to be eating a lot of potatoes. These are potatoes we grew organically here on our own homestead. They should be kept out in a cellar. I'm going to show you in a minute where I keep my onions in here. It's not a good idea to keep your onions and potatoes together, but you do what you can with what you have, and that's what we're doing. So we have Yukon Gold and red potatoes. The whole underneath side of this side of the pantry is all potatoes. And then over here, so I have buckets of white flour, rice and beans, cornmeal, gluten-free flour, because one of my children, it has to be completely gluten-free. She's celiac. Millet. Let's see, what else? Did I say cornmeal? Yeah, flour, sugar. Okay, all of the basic dry goods. I keep lots of them in here. And as I mentioned, I have another flour shipment coming in a few days. And last thing I think to show you on this side is I keep my 4 jars canning lids in here. I've never had a better seal rate from any kind of canning lids other than the 4 jars canning lids. So for years we used Ball and Kerr. Man, they just really, the quality went way down after 2020. So I've switched to 4 jars canning lids, and I'll put a link to these in the description box below. You can save 10% off if you use my code. It's a great thing to stock up on and have in your pantry so that you can be ready for canning season. All right, let me show you the rest of the pantry. All right, so this is the door coming in right here. I also have a soap making business, so I make homemade candles, soy candles, and wax melts. So that stuff is stored in here. And then here is all of my homemade soap. And this is where we ship out of. We ship a lot of things for the holidays and different times of the year. So I'll put a link to my soap making website, Lorie's Handcrafted Soaps, in the description box below. But anyway, this is where it all happens, and we will be, of course, restocking this soon. This is kind of our downtime of year, so we can get all of that done. And if I don't make you dizzy, flip around here and show you my onions. So this is where I store my onions. Now, it's the 1st of January. These are starting to get a little soft, so I'm going to be taking a bunch of these and lightly sauteing them and then putting them in the freezer so that I don't lose the rest of them. Again, these should be in a root cellar, but I don't have one yet, so definitely just getting by. So then right around the corner here, this is where we pack orders for the soap, and then this is the other side of that island. So there's the island. This is the other side of the island, and we're gonna go down through here and all. A lot of this will be the same. So I'll show you what, what's on this other side, some of our fruit that we've raised, and then we're gonna talk about how you can start a pantry just like this. All right, so other side of the island here, and again, as I said, this is the same stuff. It comes all the way across this 4-foot deep island. And these shelves are made from 2x6s and 2x8s, I think. And then they have like a spacer, just a little bit of a spacer in between. And it's because mostly what we use is quart jars because we have a larger family. And so if you have jars in your pantry, you don't ever want to stack them like this, because what'll happen is they can put pressure on the wrong part of the seal, right? And make it so the seal doesn't last as long. What you want to do if you have to stack jars, which is what I did over where my broth is that I shown you, is I put like a piece of plywood in between the stacks of pint jars. Okay, and that just keeps the pressure, the weight all really even. So anyway, these are just designed, we took a quart jar, measured it, and figured out the best way to lay this out so that we could fit the most in here. And again, it wasn't optimal for filming, but that's okay, right? That was not the main purpose here or goal for this pantry. So we show you what's over here. So this is just some odd and end jars. I make these solid lotion bars. Again, this is from my homemade soap business and lotion and candle business, Lorie's Handcrafted Soaps. So if you want to check that out, you sure can. I'll show you how to make these sometime. Anyway, homemade lotion bars. So I just keep some of that stuff in here because, again, this is an unheated room, so it's somewhat cool. It's not as cool as it should be for like produce, right? But it's definitely cool enough for jars. And so, yeah, I just try to store some of that extra stuff in here. All right, down here I have a whole bunch of jams and jellies, and this is grape jelly, made from the grape juice that we raised from the grapes on our very own homestead here in our orchard. So that's really fun, and I have a video on that as well. And let's see, more apple syrup. Okay, and then this is where more of our fruit is stored. So this is canned peaches. These are not grown here on our homestead. Someday, hopefully, our peach trees will produce enough that we will be able to have our own peaches. These are some I got at the grocery store. I got a really good deal on these canning peaches, and we did about 100 quarts, so that was pretty awesome. These are pears. These are from our own homestead. And so anyway, just some extra fruit that we have. And again, this is, what I consider to be really healthy, fresh fruit because it was canned, fairly soon after it was picked, at least for the pears anyway. And also we have grape juice, a couple different kinds of grape juice. I have a video on this as well. This grape juice is made with a steam juicer. So it's actually grape juice concentrate. We have about 100 quarts of that. And we can go through 1 quart jar of this in a meal. Of course, I add a little tiny bit of sugar and some water to this, mix it up. It makes amazing juice to go with our meal. All right, let's see what else. raspberry jam, strawberry rhubarb jam, again, all fruit that we raised here. So, you know, you can put jam with a little bit of peanut butter on some sourdough toast. Like, it is so good, and that's a meal that your kids are gonna love, okay? Peanut butter and jelly, you know. So our family, we do not go out to eat ever. I don't think we've been out to eat at all this year. Maybe once, but I'm not sure we've even been out to eat once. So keep things on hand that keep you from having to order pizza, right? Because it's so expensive and it's not healthy for you. So we have the, you know, the soup I showed you. We can quickly make soup. I can really fast make you know, chicken and noodles or beef and noodles. You can make sandwiches. We have the canned meat on hand. We can make a quick sandwich spread. Like, there's so many ways to make a super easy and fast meal out of lots of things here in this pantry. Of course, there's lots of things that can take a long time to make also, right? But, you know, it's good to have a lot of jam and jelly. And then we also have lots of jelly here from wild fruit. So things like sand cherries and choke cherries and the like. So the other thing I forgot to show you on the other side is I have a couple big buckets full of squash still. We've eaten a bunch of that. Then there's still some squash left. Pumpkins. So these are still from what we grew in our garden, and we've eaten a whole bunch. And I did actually have a few of them go bad in here. Again, partly because it's not as cool in here as it should be for produce. But again, you do what you can with what you have, right? And I have stored jars in places that were way warmer than should have been. Like places like the basement in my old house had the furnace in it. It was pretty warm down there. I stored jars down there for a long time and it was just fine. So even if you don't have the most ideal place to store your food, still store what you can for as long as you can, right? And utilize what you have, and then just slowly always improve. So even though this pantry may seem awesome to you, and it is, it's a lifetime of work, and there's still more things that I want to do with it, right? There's other things that I have planned and ways that I want to improve. So, but sometimes even in a basement, you can just wall off a little corner, like with some styrofoam and a few boards, and make it like an unheated spot. But then it's best if you can vent it. So this one isn't vented yet. It's on the list. Hopefully by the next time I do a pantry tour video, it's vented and I can show you. But what you want to do is put two different vents. So an in vent and an out vent to the outside. And then take like a dryer tube and run it down to the floor on one of them so that the air will come down to the, you know, to the floor, because cold air falls and hot air rises and it will like circulate the air, and you can regulate the temperature in here and keep it cooler. So that would make my onions and my potatoes keep a lot longer. You know, still they keep decent, right? Better than they would just upstairs in my kitchen. But it's just something for you to think about. And again, I'll show you that when we get that done. I kind of had a snafu with my garlic this year, unfortunately. So usually I have enough garlic to get us through. I should have put it in the refrigerator and I didn't. And again, we had a really warm fall. And because this room stayed warmer than it should have, it actually kind of shriveled. So I ended up planting the good garlic. And so yeah, I'm kind of out of garlic. I'm gonna have to get creative. I have garlic powder and I do have some garlic I've bought from the store. So I'm gonna have to be creative. Again, we're always learning, but there's a video on YouTube that shows you how I grow garlic and sell garlic. And again, learned my lesson. Be sure to get it put in the fridge after it's cured, because if it's really super warm, it just won't survive. So sweet potatoes, I also have some sweet potatoes. Also a couple buckets. They like to be where it's warm, so I just keep those out where it's warmer. And again, I mentioned to you what we have in our freezers. Trying to think of anything else that I should tell you about. Again, there's more buckets down here underneath on both sides. And then, of course, this is where we keep, you know, just various storage things. There's always things that need stored, soap making things and the like. So now I want to talk to you for just a minute about how you can start a homestead pantry just like this. So a couple things that come to mind are, one, start right now. Don't wait, okay? The next time you go to the grocery store, buy an extra $10 worth of something that you use, whether it be flour, sugar, like dry goods are good, right? Flour, sugar, or some canned item. Find something on sale and buy an extra 10 cans or something, and just spend a little bit more every week of the things on sale. and you will slowly build up your, you'll start building and be like, oh, I don't need to buy tomatoes because I have some. And then you'll end up with more money the next month to spend on other things. So that's a way to start, like if you're on a really tight budget and you just want to start today, it's a great way to save money on your groceries, is to start buying in bulk. Second of all, so if you can spend more, then get an order going for Azure Standard. So if you are a new Azure Standard customer and you spend more than $100 on your first order and you use the code NEW15 and you use my link in the description box below, you're going to get 15% off. So it's a really great deal. It's not hard to spend $100 on things like flour, spices, like just get bulk spices. You're going to save so much money. I bake a lot of my bread, most of it with sourdough, but my family does really love my Amish white bread recipe. And that takes yeast. And so I can buy a pound of yeast at Azure Standard for the same price I can buy a little tiny thing of yeast at the grocery store, right? It's like $6 or $7 for a little container of yeast, and it's $6 or $7 for a pound from Azure. So it's going to save you a ton of money. So start small. Don't try to do all of this at once. If you're just starting homesteading, you want to figure this out, I would suggest that you start by making your own bread, because bread is something you probably eat every week. You can make it a lot healthier and a lot cheaper at home. And that's a skill that once developed, like you're never going to have to go to the store for bread. It's going to take you less time to make your bread at home than it is to drive to the store and buy it, okay? Much less to work for the money to go spend at the store, okay? So start doing that. Also, learn to make your own tortillas, right? So those things are going to take flour, maybe some sugar, some baking powder, right? Start with those things. Then get some of your spices, right? Slowly find the things, like pick something. Okay, I'm going to do bread. Now I'm going to learn how to make my own pasta, right? Next month I'm going to learn how to make whatever it is. Maybe it's cabbage season and you want to learn how to make your own sauerkraut, okay? Gardening is a really good thing, and you should learn to garden. You can garden even if you just have a small backyard. There's lots of ways you can do gardens, raised bed gardens. Bigger gardens are always fun. I love to grow a big garden every year. It's about a ½ acre. But, start with what you have where you are. And by the way, places like Azure, they have organic cabbage you can buy really cheap. Apples, they have all kinds of fresh and frozen produce that you can order. And what it is with Azure is, so they have a semi-truck that comes to a drop near you once a month, and you will meet like-minded people at the drop. All your stuff is already paid for, so there's no like sorting through everything and splitting stuff like we used to do with some of the food co-ops back in the day. You just show up, pick up the food that you ordered, take it home, and store it in your pantry. It's super easy, and the shipping is like pennies. Like, for a small order, I think you pay like $12 in shipping. But if you order a lot of stuff, sometimes the shipping's even free, because you're sharing the shipping with all of the other people from your area. So anyway, definitely check out Azure. And just know that they have things like cabbage to make your own sauerkraut, tomatoes to can your own tomatoes. The other thing you can do is look for farmers markets in your area. Buy food locally as you can. Find ways to buy things in bulk. So, a lot of times farmers will have seconds of tomatoes and green beans or whatever. You can get a bushel for not a lot. Go home and can it up. And pretty soon your pantry will grow. As far as where to get jars from, you can get jars from Azure Standard. I love their jars. And of course the jar lids I usually get are from 4 Jars, canning lids. But I have bought most all of these jars on auctions or garage sales, or people that don't can anymore have given them to me, and I'm so grateful. So these jars have cost me pennies. It's taken me a few years to get this many, but you can totally do it. So start watching for auctions, watch Facebook Marketplace and look for jars. You're going to slowly find jars. People are going to figure out that you're canning and they don't can anymore, and they're going to give you their stuff. And same with like the canners and whatever, you can invest a lot of money in canning equipment, or you can get it used and on sale, and that's, by far the best way to do it. So yeah, start buying in bulk. Start just a little bit at a time. Every month you can buy a little more. By the way, with Azure, you don't have to buy things every month. So if you only order once a year, that's fine. But I find, you know, every month I have a little bit more money I can spend and invest in putting food in my pantry, which saves me money and saves me trips to the grocery store. And it just snowballs. Pretty soon, you could live for a whole year out of just your pantry and not ever have to go to the store at all. I mean, there'd be a few things like chips that you would miss, but not very many things. You certainly wouldn't be hurting near as much as a lot of people would if something happened. So, you know, again, do we put our trust and faith in this? No, we put our trust and faith in the Lord. Could there be a natural disaster and this all crash, a tornado? Yes, okay, our faith is in the Lord. But if electricity were to go out and we had to live and couldn't get to town for a long time because we were cut off from the outside world, could we live on this for a long, long time if our actual homestead was still safe? Absolutely. And could we share this with our friends and neighbors and be a blessing to others? Yes, we could. So that's the reason behind our pantry living. And anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful to you. Please message me. Send me a message or drop, you know, a note in the comments below with questions you have, ways that I can help you be more self-sustaining and start your own homestead pantry. And for sure, be sure to like and subscribe, but then jump on over to Instagram or Facebook and follow us at Wagon Wheel Homestead 21, because we're going to be showing you in the next 90 days exactly how we use all this food and how we feed our family. And hopefully that's an inspiration to you. Hopefully it's not overwhelming, but hopefully it's an inspiration to you to tell you, you know, especially you stay-at-home moms, you know, money can be really tight on one income. Like, how can you really make a difference? You can cut out your grocery bill. Not only is your family going to be healthier, but you're going to make a significant impact on your budget when your grocery bill is gone, because grocery prices are not going down and food is not getting any easier to get, right? We're getting farther and farther away from our food instead of closer and closer. So, and then, you know, if you want to know more about dairy cattle and how we make our own cheese, we'll be sharing that with you as well. That's something that's really fun. We share more again on Instagram and Facebook about that in the day-to-day. So anyway, that's our life. Thanks for hanging out here with me for such a long video. I hope that, again, this was inspirational to you, and I will see you in our next video. Bye.